G'day lad, and welcome to my channel. Yeah, I've got another video for you. I always do these videos, right? I start them off. I think, oh, I'm going to talk about something, and then I just go off and forget completely what I was going to talk about. I was going to mention slightly about the French protests. Been going on for about a week now or more. I mean, it's been big style. Do you know what I mean? Big style all across the country. You know, thousands, and they've hardly mentioned it on the BBC. Hardly ever mention it on the BBC. Do you know what I mean? And it's getting really bad. And so that was one thing I was going to mention. What else was I going to mention? Something about, they was going about the EU army, you know, the European Union army, and they're saying, oh, we don't want to be in it, blah, 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 blah. But you've got to look at the Anglo-French military agreement that they've signed up for. Because even though you're not going to be upgrading and uplining along with Europe, you are going to be upgrading and aligning with the French. Which means you're uplining with Europe because they're uplining with them, and you'll be the same. So we are heading for an EU army. I've said this for so long now. You have a look at my other videos as well. When I put them up, that, you know, when it comes to push and shove, and you've got to start shooting your own citizens, because let's face it, you're not far off with what the police are running people off their bikes now, right? Once that starts to happen, you might think, well, the military might think, well, I don't really want to turn the guns on my own people. You know, the individual soldiers will start going, no, Sarge, we can't shoot our own people, and might not want to do it, do you know what I mean? So what they do is, just recently, they've decided they're going to start taking in from the Commonwealth because they can't recruit enough here, or whatever they say. So you're going to get from other countries anyway, and plus if they join this EU thing, so you're going to get these, like, say, Ukraine. Is it? I'm not using Ukraine. I won't use Ukraine as being part of Europe like that, because it's not part of the EU, is it? I don't think. But let's choose just another country, you know, Yugoslavia or wherever, right? Or even France or Germany, Italy, any of these little other countries, do you know what I mean? They start sending their troops over to us to kill us. And we send our troops over, like the Romanians. Let's just say the Romanian soldiers. I don't think the Romanian soldiers will have any qualms of shooting British rioters in the head to death. But the British Army might. But the British Army wouldn't have a problem if they were sent to Romania and shoot them in the head, because they've proved that they can do these things in Bosnia and Serbia and all that. Anyway, even in the heart of Europe, you will get soldiers fighting on their own, if you know what I mean, European. So that was my take on that. It wasn't really the main reason that I made this video today. I can't actually remember what I was going to say. But I might just waffle on for a little bit longer. It might come back to me. But I was thinking today, like, I've had a conversation with my dad today as well. And like, he's not well, he is dying, but he lives quite far away, and I'm busy all the time. And he just pesters me to go and see him. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't have time to go and see him. Do you know what I'm saying? And it adds pressure to your life then. Do you know what I mean? You try to get all the things you need to get done for yourself. And then you've got all these other pressures for everybody coming from all angles. Do you know what I mean? And they, you know, I do have a lot of trouble. I would explain to my dad, I have a lot of trouble, right, with just going and talking and just being trivial for hours with normal people. Like, I call them normal people. Well, people, I couldn't sit and spend time with people that saying how nice their car looks today compared to their neighbour's car, let's say, for instance, or start saying about, oh, do you see that in football because somebody got fired because of this, or in the pop world, so, oh, they've got a new song out called this, or do you know what I mean? And all that, I can't be doing with it. You seen that new geezer in the new film? No. Do you know what I mean? I ain't got time for all that, especially when mithering, right? You know, like, buy something little trivial present for somebody, yeah, and then mithering that you can't get over there to fetch it in back time for their birthday. Do you know what I mean? If you bought it and you couldn't post it, you got to realise you got to rely on other people to bring it, and you can't just rely on other people to bring it. People have got too many things to do. Do you know what I mean? I was just thinking, this time of the year, it's supposed to be Christmassy and everybody's supposed to be happy and la la la. And what actually ends up happening is people get resentful and stuff like that because you ain't spent no time with me, you ain't spent no time with me. Or they're like, oh, look what I bought you and look what you've bought me. Oh, I feel so disappointed, let down by you and blah, 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 blah. Ill feeling, nastiness, la la la. The wife's there doing the Christmas dinner or whatever it is, you know, or the husband or whatever, I don't know. Like me, I always used to cook Christmas dinner in my family house. For about 20 years, cooked the Christmas dinner. But anyway, that person doesn't always feel all happy, la, because they're just slaving away all morning. And half the time, nobody after thanks them for their Christmas dinner properly, do you know what I mean? And they just take everything for granted, leave all the mess and just there. And it's just, oh, I don't know. It should be a really nice time of the year, right? But it doesn't always end up that way, you know what I mean? Because of people's expectations and stuff like that. And you know, their reliance on other people all the time. So, that annoys me. But I've actually changed the way I've done my Christmas this year. I used to buy lots of presents when I was not very awake, if you know what I mean. And I still would like to buy a few presents now. I like to see people unwrap their presents and stuff like that. And I haven't got a problem with, like, you know, gift giving at that time of the year. Do you know what I mean? Once in a year, because I don't hardly see my family, I could treat them a little bit, give them some money, and they can go and treat themselves. And I'm happy to do that. But the commercialist side of it is a bit too much these days. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I don't buy Christmas cards anymore. I don't buy Christmas cards. I don't put Christmas tree up or nothing like that. Because I don't really believe in the Christmas story as such. Do you know what I mean? Not in the form that it's given. Do you know what I mean? So, funny enough, this year, it's the first year I've put some money in an envelope for most people that I'm giving to. And I've put on it, instead of Happy Christmas, just on the front of an envelope, no Christmas card. I put an envelope with some money in it, because I had to have the envelope, just to sign the money so it was safe. And I've written on the envelope, well, I'm not gonna tell you. Right? I'm not gonna tell you, because if people might see this video, and they'll go, because it's supposed to be a little bit of a surprise. But I'll let you know. So it's a bit of a different one. I've written on the envelope, right? And I draw a little picture, right? Now, see if you can guess, right, what I've done and what I've written instead of Merry Christmas, right? And what the picture is. So if you can guess, right, I'll give you an extra present at Christmas. If someone gets this and writes something down, like, as long as I can get, I know, it's probably my family, to be honest. My family that might see it. And I'll give them a present if they just guess both what I've said and what the picture is. All right. So there, and everybody else can have a guess anyway. I will reply to anybody that makes a comment about it anyway. I'll try my best to comment back. All right. Let's see what they say, because that could open up a can of worms, that, couldn't they? You know, because it could be, oh, it's religion, it's about Jesus and all that, blah, blah. But it's not. It's not. Anyway. God, I forgot the real reason that I've come on. And mainly, it's a bit, I think the country's a bit down anyway, because this Brexit stuff's happening. And, you know, we don't really know where we're coming or going. I'm gutted. I've lost everything in a way. I mean, at one time, one time I used to like the Labour Party years ago before I was awake. And then I decided, and then for many years I wouldn't vote. So I did go and vote because I wouldn't waste that vote. But what I used to do is put none of the above, right? Or put none and a line all through all of them. So that paper would probably either get spoiled, but it's classed as spoiled. But if enough people was to do that, then they have to question the spoiled papers. And if they're saying none of the above, they really need to enter none of the above onto the ballot paper. Some countries have got that. I'm not sure which, but I've heard that they have. And that is, you're not happy with any of the parties, go away, think again. Or we need some new parties, fresh ideas we might vote for. Because at the moment, we're not having that. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I vote none of the above. But the last election, obviously, the referendum, normally, if you take part in an election, you sort of legitimise that. You know, if you put a mark on it, you're legitimising it. You're saying it's a correct way. Do you know what I mean? So the verdict should stand. Do you know what I mean? But I just couldn't bear the thought, right, of missing an opportunity to get out of Europe. I understood the flavour of the country better than nearly everybody, I think. Do you know what I mean? And I get sick of them telling me not to, I didn't vote to be poorer. Well, I did. We all did, because the Bank of England told us and all that. CBI. I've gone into this already in the latest videos. This is why it's playing on people's minds. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got all this other stuff going on in the world. You've got terrible, terrible, worst famine in over 100 years in the Yemen. It's man-made, and it's our bombs that's dropping on their heads. And every time you pay a penny in tax, a portion of that penny, or a pound, or whatever it is, goes towards making bombs that drop upon children's heads. I can't be a party to it, so I don't feel as if I can ever get a job out there now, whereas I'm going to be earning enough to be paying any sort of income tax. I'm going to make sure that my income will never rise above the threshold of having to pay income tax, because I can't bear to be paying towards the death and the sorrow, right? I buy as little as I have to buy, do you know what I mean? I feel I do, anyway, on a daily basis. And that stuff that I do buy is all fresh fruit and vegetables. So corporations, I don't really like giving corporations my money at all. I might have to have the odd O2 or something like that, phone credit. And I do have Virgin Media so that I can find out what's going on in the world. But apart from that, I don't really subscribe to any of those things, do you know what I mean? But anyway, that was a nice little chat, and I really forgot the main reason I'll probably come on. You watch, as soon as I turn it off now, I'll think of it. So maybe I will. But anyway, there's a bit of a chat. Bit of a going on and on and on about stuff, but I felt like I need to get something off my chest today. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there is a bit of a dark energy around most people these days. I think it's partly to do with Brexit, partly to do with the sun going away and the darker nights creeping in. Do you know what I mean? And just the level of violence and stuff and everything that's happening around them in the streets, the homeless, the constant talk of despair on the TV because of Theresa May and her government and her previous government, austerity measures. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, the austerity was brought in to half the deficit, or to eliminate the deficit, wasn't it, or something, in 5 years. Then it went to 10 years. Do you know what I mean? And we're not going to get there anyway. But what's the point in reducing the deficit? In between, the deficit is the amount that you borrow compared to the amount that you make, yeah? So the deficit is coming down, but when you look at the actual whole figure of debt, so the actual amount of money you're in debt by, has doubled in the last 10 years since the Conservatives that got in. So it's took however many hundreds of years of war and all this